All right, everybody. Welcome to the Essential Credentials episode 20. That's right. We've made it all the way to 20, and we haven't even got to the end of the year yet, which is exciting. So, as usual, I'm joined by, nope, he's not here. He's here. Greg is here, alive and well. And of course, Greg, what are you most excited about with this episode?
I am excited about sharing everything with the community. We have done a lot in the group, and we have made a lot of connections, made a lot of friends, and this is going to kind of be like a recognition episode for the community and everything they have done and everything we've done, and just a pod of in between.
Well, speaking of community, a guy that's been a part of that 90s group longer than either of us is right down here, and that is Ben Franklin, a.k.a. Weight 333. What's up, Ben?
How you guys doing? Good morning.
Yeah, thanks for joining us in the man cave. We finally get a nice glimpse of it, man. Holy smokes.
That's right, yeah. Moved in last year and finally was able to get my stuff up on the wall instead of sitting in boxes in my little apartment. So, yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, it looks good down there.
Yeah, it looks really good.
Thanks.
And thanks for finally upgrading your technology. I know you've been, saving money by buying like all the cards and having the cheapest phone in history, but now you're good to go, man. You've upgraded to our level, huh?
That's right. Went from Samsung S5 to the iPhone 11. So
I still have an iPhone 6S. So
okay, so I'm ahead of the game for a while.
Well, it's all those expensive salmon cards that you're having to keep an eye out for.
Right.
So it's all good. Yeah. So I'm kind of curious, let's roll it back. I mean, when we started this whole podcast, Greg, we had been in the 90s group for what, maybe a year or so, a little bit less. And just the amount of cards that were being shown off and the interaction that we had with all these people, we thought, well, how about trying out a podcast, as you suggested, and trying to involve as many of these community members as we can. And, looking back, we've had at least 10 or more people on this podcast, different people from the community, which has been really cool for me because I know I'm not used to, hosting or being live like this. And I know some of them aren't either. And I think overall it's been a really positive experience so far.
Yeah, I would say so too. I know I've mentioned this in the past, but the idea originally was to integrate our community and interview them and talk to them and just learn about their collections and their cards and be able to show off cards, because ultimately that's what you're wanting to do. You spend a lot of money and a lot of time looking for these cards, and you want to show them off to people. You want to share that experience with people. And so, you can post a picture in a group and people can like it, but you still kind of feel detached. So when you put people on this podcast and you talk to them for an hour and they get to show off their cards, you get to put a face behind those cards.
Right.
So you also hear the stories behind them. You hear how they got them, how it started. So it just adds so much more to the group, to the post, to the pictures. And so it's just been a good thing. I enjoy doing it. I enjoy having the people on, getting to talk to them. So the podcast has been good for the group. I think it keeps us close, tight knit. I think it's a good thing.
Ben, what's your experience been like so far? First off, you've been in the group. You were part of creating the group more or less when it all kind of came together. I mean, I know you aren't. I don't know if you're a moderator or necessarily, but you had been friends with Nate when he first got it going. I mean, first off, how's your experience been in the 90s group? You think it's been a benefit for your collection?
Oh, absolutely. Like I said, I've been collecting 90s since, 90s came around, and it's nice to have more of a central focus, even if you're in a general baseball card group or, someone that collects baseball cards, they might not focus on 90s inserts specifically. So to concentrate on it more, have a more focused approach definitely helps. And helping people learn some of the parallels and some of all the subsidies of every insert set definitely helps. And I go to local card shows in the area every month or two, and you find a lot of new modern cards, and then you find a lot of vintage cards. But then the 90s still seem to get lost in there. If you're lucky, you find one guy who has some 90s stuff, and maybe not even rare stuff, but it still seems to get lost in the shuffle, even though obviously it's become more popular in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
So we're still a pretty small, concentrated segment, I think.
Yeah, we are definitely like a rare breed because we just get left out. You know, like you were saying, you go to a show, modern, vintage, and then like right in between, you hit some 90s cards, and you're just spending a lot of time looking through boxes. You're asking people, like, I can't tell you how many people I've, like, hey, got any 90s stuff? Nah, it's probably at home in the closet somewhere.
A lot of people still think it's worthless. You know, that you say 90s and they think you're talking about 96 Upper Deck base cards or something, and they don't, Crusades and all that doesn't even register with them, I guess. So.
Well, I was surprised. I don't know. We were both there at the National. Honestly, I was pleasantly surprised at the amount that we found. I mean, one box in particular stands out. It was like a $5 and $10 box, right? And I think it was 50% off, and it was all like 90s. So the guy there had an idea. You remember that? It was in the back, Greg, right toward the back wall there.
Yeah.
Some of the guys actually represented the 90s well, and there was more knowledge about that era than I would have guessed would have been there. I thought we were going to be in dollar boxes the entire time, and there was actually a decent representation as compared to what I thought when we got there. So, you know, maybe that's a sign that it's just like starting to, you know, creep its way up. You know, obviously the basketball community is bringing those to light. But yeah, I think that's the best part of our community is that we find out the intricacies of cards, right? And we find out how nice cards are when at first you're like, oh, okay, this thing's selling for $5 on eBay. I'll just keep passing it up. Well, that's because it doesn't scan well, you know, and somebody shows it on the group and now we're all picking it up. So for me, I think that's one of the best parts of the community. I mean, what do you think? Do you think the podcast, for both of you guys, do you think the podcast has definitely kind of opened up people's eyes to some of these cards a little bit more?
Yeah, I would say showing cards off and not just being a stationary picture where you get to like see some different views and angles and the excitement level from people. I think that's contagious. So, you know, a card that you might look, like you were saying, you might look on eBay, it's $5. It doesn't really do much on the scan. And then you're excited to show it off.
Right.
On the podcast, it's kind of like a contagious feeling like, man, I want to go look for that card too. So I think it's good for the community. And I also think, like you were saying at the National, there was a good group, like a good representation of 90s cards. And if 500 people who are hardcore collectors keep buying stuff, then it's only going to bring more attention. And I assume there's more than 500. I'm just saying, you know, group wise, it's just going to like slowly aggregate forward to where maybe people are busting out their 90s stuff and putting them in the shows and putting them on eBay or COMC so we can get them.
Right. If you put a scan of a card on the group and you say, well, this card is ratio is 1 in 288 packs. I mean, yeah, it sounds like a rare card, but then when you hear someone in conversation say, well, I've been collecting this player for 5, 10, 15 years, and I finally just found one for sale, you know, it kind of really hits home about how rare some of these cards are. And like I said, they might be sitting in someone's closet and they just don't recognize the value. And we all can testify to how tough finding certain parallels and inserts are.
Yeah.
So.
And then the lesser known the player, Salmon, harder it is to find some of this stuff. So you guys are in a little bit better boat than I am. So I kind of get lucky sometimes, and sometimes people tell me that they got it in the closet somewhere, some place, but I'll never see it.
Well, I'm really excited when you bring that up. There's a card that you sent us, you know, the story about that I'm hoping you unearth and get quite soon. That deal that you were trying to make, because it's crazy that the lengths that you got to go to dig up some salmon cards, man. It's not, you know, you say like, hey, you got a Bonds of this? And they're like, okay, Bonds. I definitely would know if I have this card, or even A-Rod, but Tim Salmon, they're like, ooh, you know, like, hold on, I got to go check my box type thing. So,
well, the deal I was telling you about, I talked to like a family member of the guy, and she contacted him, and he said he sold the collection.
oh,
So it's gone. I don't know where it went, but it's gone.
the things to do for a prime choice reserve, let me tell you. This choice had no idea what they were coming up with. They should have thought they like at least tell people to hold on to these cards, you know, because a lot of them got thrown, I'm sure. So, yeah. So, you know, again, focusing on the community, I think a lot of the members have, out of the kindness of their heart, done some really cool things for all of us. I think we could all testify to that too. If we were to say, okay, name a card in your collection that you wouldn't have without a community member, I mean, I think we could name several. Don't you think?
Oh yeah, I would definitely agree. And I think having a list of what everybody collects has been helpful.
Yeah.
Because there have been numerous times my eBay saved searches are sometimes vague. So rather than saying like Tim Salmon platinum medallion, I might do ultra platinum medallion. So as a result, I'll come across like Larry Walker, Barry Bonds, Ken Griffey Jr., you know, Darren Erstead. And when I see something good, like not a crazy price, when I see like 99-cent auction starting for some of these guys, I will like look at the list and I'll send a link to whoever collects them to be like, hey, look, like this just popped up. I'm not actively looking, but since it popped up in my save search, I'll send it your way. And so I've done that. I do that quite often. I say at least once or twice a day, something popped up that I'll send to somebody. They're like, hey, FY, you might already have it, but it's worth looking at. And I appreciate that. People do it for me. So it's just, I like having that list. I think it was a good idea. And I like being able to send links to people about those rare cards that, you know, maybe they're too busy to look at eBay, but if you send a link to them, maybe they can get it, you know, maybe it'll go for $1, maybe it'll go for 12, but at least they have the knowledge that it pops up. And I think that kind of makes the community a little bit closer as a result of it all, because you're doing favors for people, you're doing solid, you know.
No, for sure. That list has been huge. You know, I mean, I enjoy looking through there. You know, whenever I see something, I'm usually specific or something, but I'll send it to people. And yeah, you know, for sure. I mean, have you had that happen too, Ben, where, you know, you sent a link out or somebody sent you a link like, hey, Ben, do you have this yet? Like, you know, I tagged you in that Bonds a couple days back, but it was too late. The guy sold it already. So you know, you never know, I guess.
Oh, right. Yeah, I mean, I basically Nate and Reese are the biggest Bonds collectors I know of, and you know, I met Reese maybe a couple years ago through our Bonds Facebook group, and he's passed me up in a couple months ago.
I saw that.
Yeah, he's on another level now. He's just he's hardcore, but yeah, you know, we always send each other links. Something pops up, and generally we're also OCD about it. We always are searching. So,
yeah.
But yeah, it definitely helps. And you can go off on a tangent about your search terms and things like that. If you talk about dual player cards, you could search for cards. I mean, you search Barry Bonds, but you could search Bonds Griffey, Bonds Canseco, or whatever, and find cards you wouldn't find if you only use certain parameters. But yeah, I definitely have gotten cards from groups on Facebook and social media that I wouldn't have otherwise found. So it definitely comes in handy, and it's nice to have different avenues to find these cards, because a lot of them, they disappear in collections and people don't let them go. So,
and you know, it's repetition. You post enough and people know what you collect, and so somebody posts a card and all of a sudden you get tagged. So you're like, oh yeah, I don't have that one, and you make a deal with somebody just because you got tagged. So I think just posting in the group, people learn who you are and what you collect, or you have the list, you know, so you can kind of tag people and help each other out. And I think that's what this group and community has been best at, is helping each other out. Like, we're not selfish, I would say. You know, we all have collections, we all want the cards, but we're also willing to help each other out. It's not every man for himself. So I like that, because a lot of groups can be very confrontational and aggressive and just, I don't know, distant from each other. And ours is more of a real community.
That's what I enjoy the most. I mean, I'm glad you brought that up, Greg, is we're all appreciating each other's collections. Like, we're really excited when somebody picks up the 24 karat, because, you know, it doesn't matter if it's Tim Salmon, Larry Walker, Aaron Erstad, Barry Bonds, it doesn't matter. We know how exciting that would be for us. And so in turn, you know, we're excited for them. And that's the best part of this community, you know, is when you post an amazing card that you picked up or whatever, and people already know how much you're looking for it, and people are excited for you. I think that's really what makes our community so great, you know. And again, I don't think it's like that everywhere. So I think it's super important that everybody in our group knows that. I think it makes collecting a lot more fun for me, because I live in Sitka, Alaska, of all places. Ben, you know about it because your girlfriend's from here, funny enough.
Right. Yeah. Lived in a boat out in that area for a short period of time. Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, like, there's nobody out here that collects, like, hardly anybody collects cards, let alone 90s. I mean, like, my best collecting buddy collects vintage. So I get to look at 31 and 21 cards, 1921 cards. It's nuts. But nobody cares about this stuff. So the group has allowed me to go out and meet all these wonderful people and just appreciate different collections and so forth. It's been awesome. It's been one of the best experiences, honestly, since I've been collecting back 3.5 years ago, almost 4 years ago. So we're very lucky when it comes to that. But I thought it would be fun if we could, you know, take a look at our collections and think about what cards do we have that, you know, we owe to the group, you know what I mean? More or less, like, someone has tagged you in it, someone has sent it to you, someone has posted your link for it. Somebody has said they wouldn't bid so you could get it. I mean, we've all been there, except I don't think Greg has to deal with that because you don't talk at all. But
yeah,
I mean, Ben and I definitely have been there, you know, where I'm talking with Bo, Jeremy, Kyle, Brant, and I'm like, okay, where's your level of interest here? And, you know, that row 0 just ended a couple days back, and we all wanted it, you know, and it ended up going for $470 or something like that. So that's different. Most of the time it's usually like, hey, I don't really want this card, you go ahead, or vice versa. So I definitely have a couple of those, but I figured we could spend a little bit of time showcasing some of our community pickups, we'll call them, cards that, you know, we wouldn't have in our collections without our community. So who would like to get started? The dog obviously would like to go first. I can hear the dog. Is that Greg or is that Ben?
It's me.
Oh, okay. I thought it was Ben's dog. Sorry.
Yeah,
Dog out of the house.
Yeah, let Ben go. I'll address this real quick.
Okay. All right, Ben, go for it.
I'll go with the one of my more recent acquisitions, the 1998 UD3 Gold die cut.
Ooh, nice, dude.
So this, there was a lot of interest between probably 4 or 5 bonds collectors.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the rarest version, serial number to 100. And I was talking with my bonds cohort, and there was a lot of interest in the card, and I said, well, I really want this one. It's becoming tougher and tougher to find cards I need for my bonds PC, and we had to throw some numbers around and say, well, I'm willing to pay this, and then this guy says, well, I'd pay this, and then you go, well, you know what, if you're gonna I'd pay another $5 if I have to. So I mean, right. You have to kind of coordinate. You don't want to step on people's toes, but at the same time, if you don't see a card very often, you got to be aggressive to a degree to get it.
Right.
Like this particular card, it's the first example I've seen in probably at least 5 years. So
okay,
I made it very aware that I was going to be aggressive with my bid, and luckily the other 2 serious bidders laid off, and I was able to win it. So that's my most recent big find.
And that's another big thing to mention real quick, is that we do have a community of people that are understandable when it comes to that. You know, I think if it wasn't for this community, imagine how much money we probably would have spent as compared to when we, you know, are able to coordinate with each other on level of interest and so forth. So That's a big thing that you brought up there for sure. Great card though, man. I still looking for an A-Rod. So this one I have to show off because a community member, Jeremy Bollock, had it in his collection, and I haven't seen one for sale in I think 3 years now. And he said, even though it's the only one I have, I know you'll appreciate it more than me. So he let me buy it from him, and that's the early road to the Hall refractor from Topps Chrome. I mean, yeah, these things don't pop up at all, and it's numbered out of 100 on the back. But I love the picture. I love the shine on this card. I think 99 Topps Chrome has some of the best refractors out there. So, man, this light's really helping out, isn't it? Wowza. That should look good.
And I got to say, how was Bonds not on the early road to the Hall in 1999 when he was a 400 guy?
I do not
Another
know.
one of those inserts just blows my mind how Bonds didn't get in there.
There are definitely some insert sets that I wonder about. Let me tell you about our players not being involved. Wow. There we go.
Oh, maybe he wasn't on the early road by that point, but
yeah.
I feel like we should. I'm sure I could find a player in that set. You're like, really? What are they doing in there? But
yeah, there's a few.
So, Greg, did your dog want to share a card, or is he a little jealous that he's not?
I think the neighbor put up like a balloon for a party.
Okay.
So my dog's like, "What is that?"
Wanted to play with it. Yeah. All right, let's see a card that you kind of owe a lot to the community for picking up.
So this happened a while ago, almost like a year ago, and it was a guy who doesn't really post that much. But when I asked for salmon, like that was at the point where I was just like, "Hey, if anybody has salmon, hit me up," and I would just continuously bother people. And so he posted that he had this card, and I didn't really know how rare it was. I knew it was numbered to 100, but I didn't know how just rare it pops up. Because I've seen one actually, but I did not really understand how rare it was. And he gave me a great deal on it, you know, as our community does. He wasn't trying to take all the money from me. So this is it.
Yeah.
Here. This is the artist proof gold number 2/100 right here. Mm-hmm. And so I got a great deal on it. And like I said, I've only ever seen one, and it's obviously just overpriced. But these are really cool cards, really hard to find. And it always stands out to me as like one of the first cards I got from the group. That was a big one for me. So that kind of, in my mind, to my knowledge, to my memory, was kind of the first card that kickstarted like community outreach to where they helped me and I'm helping them. So that was kind of the Kickstarter for me. That was a big card.
Yeah, that's awesome. I don't even remember when you picked that up, to be honest with you. Yeah, I have a pretty good memory, but I don't remember that
year and a half ago. Like I'd say maybe a year. But Cody Nail was the one who posted it, and he said he might have it. We started messaging, and he gave me a good price on it, you know. And it was like I think the first card I got from the group that was like significant.
Awesome, dude. That's really cool. That's really cool. All right, Ben, what else you got for us, dude?
Well, I have the 99 Upper Deck Century Legends. This is the die cut version, serial numbered to 100.
Those are so nice.
I think this is commemorative edition.
Mm-hmm.
So there's two cards. There's the Pirates version and the Giants version. So I'm still looking for the Giants version. Actually, it popped up in I believe it was a 90s group. Someone had one for sale. It got snatched up quick.
That's the one I tagged you in, dude. I knew you needed it, but
you know that in this set too, outside of 90s collectors, there's a lot of set collectors for this set too, because it's all Hall of Famers. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of other parties interested outside of just Bonds guys. So it makes it even tougher.
I'd love to see one of those in person, because I can tell by the auctioneers that we won't name, their pictures of the cards like that are listed look amazing. You know what I mean? They're really impressive.
I have the replacement 101 for Nomar. They're golden.
Oh yeah, right.
They're pretty cool cards.
Dude, that's awesome. I know that was a mega pickup for you too. Cool, dude. Yeah, I definitely keep my eye out for one of those. It's amazing that we're showing off cards. You would think with our collections, we're like, oh yeah, I got that. I mean, I don't have either of the cards that you just showed, and that's awesome because it gives you stuff to chase for sure. This is going to go with one of those. If it wasn't for the community, informing me of what to look for, I probably would have passed this card up. I guess it falls in line with that. A lot of people had posted versions of this card, but I didn't know which one was the rarest. And then Andy Burkett posted a video breaking down the whole run of them. And so when this popped up for $20, buy it now, I still couldn't believe it. I was pretty shocked. It's the Epic's Emerald Moment out of 30. And I feel like, again, if you really don't know what you're looking for, this just looks like all the other Epic's Emeralds, and there's no serial number on the back out of 30. But if you do your research, as we do in our group, you find out that the Moment Emeralds are suggested print run of 30. You can pick up cards. So I feel like that's a perfect example of showing, in our group, people are always trying to, Rodney, Andy are really breaking it down and telling you the exact print runs and the intricacies of the cards. And if it wasn't for that, I think, somebody else would have got that before me. So that was about, 8-9 months ago. So pretty cool pickup.
Cool.
Those are beauties, yeah.
I remember opening it live on camera because people were like, dude, for $20, you might get the wrong one sent to you on purpose. I've been in a couple other people where they, I'm like, open it up on camera and pulled it out. And I'm like, yes, heck yeah. So pretty stoked. And I know, Ben, your story about picking one up was pretty cool, right? Didn't you find one for like $5 or something? No, was that somebody picked one up for really cheap?
Right. Nate found one at the National, actually, a year or two ago.
Okay.
I found one at a table, and I told Nate, I said, you got to go back to this table and buy this card right now. The price was decent. And yeah, people, like you said, it doesn't say, it's not serial number to 30. If you don't know what you're looking for, people be like, well, this card's way overpriced. It's just an Epic's green. I've seen a guy sell one for $5, but obviously it's not the moment.
Right.
So, right. You have to know what you're looking for.
Yeah.
Definitely. All right, Greg, what you got for us, dude?
So, bigger than the artist proof. This was when somebody had posted they had a collection of them, and I asked if he had the salmon, and he said he thought he did. So we went back and forth for a while, just trying to figure out if he had it. He was looking for it, but it was someplace in his house. He might have it. He might still have it. So we went back and forth for maybe a week or two, and then he found it. And we looked at some comps for what it would sell for because it hadn't sold in a while. And he gave me a good price on it. And that was Chad Huffman. I don't know.
I don't think I've seen anything from Chad in a while.
Yeah, it's been a while. This is probably a year as well, but here's the picture of it.
Oh, wow. Woof.
I was probably borderline harassing him to find this card. So he finally found it, and we, like I said, we made a good deal on it. I think we compared it to Kenny Lofton, and I ended up paying $35 for this.
Wow.
That's not bad at all, dude.
Yeah. So that was my second real salmon purchase from the group. The first one was from Cody, the artist proof, but the second one was the Purple Crusade. That was a big one.
Well, as you're going through these cards and behind me, I'm like, okay, I can think of Greg, you muted your mic, by the way. There you go. Because your dog's barking. Sorry. But no, I there's 2 or 3 cards back there now. I'm like, oh yeah, that came from the group. That one came from the group. I'm gonna have to go back there and grab, I think, 1 or 2 more. But all right, so I mean, those are all great examples. Ben, do you have something else pops out?
Sure. to step out just by a year into 2000 with the 2000 Topps MVP promotion.
Oh yeah, nice.
Put that in there. So obviously it looks a lot like the base card, although it has MVP stamp. And this was, a contest. You send in the card and you get the redeem set. And I actually had the 99. I got that a couple years ago, but the 2000 came up this year. It was almost like a set break because the guy had quite a few star players, and I put my snipe on it and I let it run. Actually, I might talk to another Bonds collector too about it, but I had a nice snipe bid on it, and I ended up getting it for I won it for $30, and I was just blown away. Yeah, I was very happy with the price.
Wow.
And that, I don't know if just people there's not enough knowledge about those cards yet, or they're just people like, I just got a stamp. It looks like a base card. But I was very excited to win it because I realized how tough they are. There's no way that there's 100 cards of each player floating around anymore. I'm sure, these cards many have been destroyed because people are going through a box, flipping through the base cards, looking for refractors and the big hits. And so who knows how many copies are left, not to mention the cards that got redeemed for the redeem set. So
yeah, right.
Very happy with that pickup.
That just made me think of something. Brant Spriggs sold that to me for like $10.
Yeah.
Oh, dude. How did he end up with that card? That's what I want to know. Like, why would Brant Spriggs have a Tim Salmon of that? Just blind luck, or?
Yeah, I don't know. I think he just came across it and picked it up, but this was a while ago, maybe a year, and I told him I'd go ahead and pick it up. It's the 2000, but you don't really see the MVP stuff very often.
That's a really cool shot too, coming around third after hitting a bomb. That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
love it. All right, I'm gonna show one off, and then after Ben or Greg, you're gonna go next. I'm gonna go. I got two back there that I need to grab for sure to give a shout out. But this is an example of link to an auction. Like, here's an auction. Go get this card. Again, a kind of an unknown one. I think any player collector would love one of these, but it's from 98 Upper Deck, the Amazing Greats. Now, looking at it from first view, got to get my awesome light on here. This looks like just the die cut version, right, out of 250, which is a sick card, of course. But then you notice the hole punch down here. Oh, wrong side. Over here. And it's got no numbering on the back. This is a salesman sample of this card. And I've never seen one of these for sale in years, but Andy Burkett sent me a link. It said, I don't know if you have one of these, but I would pay double that for a Ripken if I found one. So I thought it was worth picking up. Again, 2 years ago, Greg will probably be on the same page as me for this. 2 years ago, a year ago, I didn't even care about stuff like this. I really didn't, because it didn't come from a pack. So why would I want to buy it? But when you come to putting a collection together all the way, you want to have more unique items. And I think, Ben, you can attest to this. You've got a lot of stuff like this, these unique cards that are, off everybody's radar, but it's super rare. I think Tanner Jones might be the best example of that, because he's always picking up those, like, most likely to pick up a card never came out of a pack is Tanner Jones for sure, right? But I mean, he does, and he appreciates the uniqueness of cards that have interesting backstories, whether they were, some guy took them from the factory after the factory went out of business or whatever. So I really do appreciate that card, and Andy sent it to me because this was the regular version of this card was the first insert I bought when I got back into collecting about 3.5 years ago. So really, really like that one. Greg, do you got one as well? Ready to go?
This was actually like a gift recently. I'm sure you know what it is, but
yes, I do.
Got it. I wasn't expecting it. I almost bid against the person who bought it for me. So that wouldn't have worked out very well. But
I know that would have been.
Oh, yeah.
The StarQuest home run.
Those are beauties. Yeah, that's a great card.
Yeah. I don't really have sunlight today. It's kind of a rainy day, so I don't have much light going on. Maybe I can do some justice.
Yeah, those cards pop.
Yeah.
Dang, dude.
And you don't, collector's choice, besides prime choice reserve, you don't really think of a card popping from Collector's Choice. Again, Prime Choice Reserve is the exception, but these cards are just fantastic. This is the first one I've owned, and I would highly recommend it after having it in hand. I kind of avoided them because I was like, I don't really see. But now that I have it, I would definitely recommend.
Nice. Yeah, that I think there's a reason those sell for as much as they do. And Ben, we've talked about this on the podcast a lot of times, and you just brought it up. There's no way 100 of those are out there somewhere or somehow. That there's no way with that product. There has to be maybe half, if I'm going to predict.
Oh, right. Yeah, I should have grabbed it. I picked that card up this year too. I just finally someone had one listed buy now $60. I was, buy
oh
now.
My gosh. Woo.
Yeah. And
Right.
I remember buying packs of Collector's Choice when I was back in 97, 98, 99.
Yeah.
You had no money, you had a low budget, but there was packs everywhere. You go to Target, Kmart, Walmart, they had all different kinds they had single packs, you had boxes, blasters, you had these like cardboard kind of 4-packs.
Yeah.
They had jumbo packs. There was so much of that product made that to think about pulling one of those, it's almost like, I don't know if it's like 91 Donruss with the elite cards. There's just so much product made, and it's such a cheap product geared towards kids. How many of those cards got damaged and thrown out too? So you're right. There's no way there's 100 left for each player.
And you have to think like you don't really think of a baseball card store throwing away cards. So I don't really think of them throwing away that stuff. It's the Walmart and the Kmart. The employees are like, we got to get rid of this stuff, and they're just tossing it just because they got to make room for inventory, and nobody cares about them because they work at Kmart and they're not baseball collectors. A hobby store is different. They might donate it, they might open it, sell it as a lot, but a Kmart store, Walmart, Target, they don't care about it. They'll throw it away and not think twice. So a lot of those cards are probably destroyed, and then you got your 6-year-olds who bought a pack and they ripped some of them in half and tossing them around the room. Like
absolutely.
Yeah, I think honestly, we talk about the Prime Choice Reserve card a lot. Because we want the word to get out. It's like somebody's got a salmon out there somewhere.
Bring it to me.
Yeah, right. But honestly, those cards, there's an A-Rod up on eBay now, and I think it's going to sell for under what it's worth. I think those cards should sell for a lot more. I know they have some centering issues. Mine does on the front, but they should sell for a lot more because I think their print run is definitely not representative of how rare they really are, for sure. So great card there, dude. Almost every card I've seen I don't have, which is really exciting for me because it reminds me that next year I have a lot to continue looking for. So, all right, Ben, how about you, man? What do you got for us?
Well, I'm going to stay in the same theme, and I knew we had to rub it in Greg's face, so I pulled out my Prime Reserve. So let me see. What's the
story on picking that up this year? Did it come out of eBay? Or?
Tie into the theme, this one I've actually had for a couple of years, but tying into the theme here, this came from a former Bonds collector who had collected for many years, and he sold out in probably 2012, 2013. And he sent me his entire list, and I went through and I probably made 3 or 4 or 5 purchases from him in blocks. And he gave me a great price on the card because he knew I was a big collector and it was going to a good home. But it was one of those cards I think there's been one listed in the last year, but again, you don't see them very often. And we just talked about, the odds of pulling these cards is ridiculous. I bought so many packs of this stuff back in the day. I never pulled one. So great card, really shines in person. And it's definitely among a lot of 90s collectors' top wants.
For sure.
I've got a bounty on it. If he brings it to me, I will add $20.
Yeah, I'm amazed one hasn't popped up, man. I got to be honest. Even though it's Tim Salmon and he doesn't show up nearly as much, I feel like it should have popped up by now. Greg and I both know who owns that one that sold this year, don't we, Greg?
Oh, yeah.
And we'll get to him later. I wanted to stick with the theme that you guys had kind of brought up, cards that I've picked up thanks to the group. Now, my memory is going to fail me, so I can't remember if it was Barry Brewer or if it was Bruce Toney. It was one of the Bs. One of them tagged me in a post in the Real 90s Inserts group, and I'm not going to go there. I know what I want to say about that group, but honestly, if it wasn't for that group, and Greg eventually, you probably don't remember this, but you had said, hey, do you know that this guy's selling a bunch of 90s cards? And by then I'd already been tagged. So I said, yeah, I know about him, but I'm going to be mean and show off two at the same time because they came from the same seller. But the first one is the 99 prominent figures out of 70. I felt like, and I'll say what I paid for it because it was over a year ago. I think I only paid $35 for this card out of 70, which I feel like is cheap. And he knew it was cheap, but he was a nice guy. So he had that, and he had the standing ovation from 2000.
Yeah, those are very tough. Yeah.
Yeah, out of 50. And so I picked them both up for $60. I felt pretty good about that, to be honest with you. But again, if it wasn't for the group, people in the group knew I collected A-Rod, and those two guys were looking out. I don't know which one it was. And then, of course, Greg, you chimed in later like, hey, by the way, are you looking at this? I wouldn't have those cards. There's no way. Somebody else would have picked them up to resell them, or some other collector. But that's a big part of the group. You get your word out on what you collect. You post your cards and everything, and people, as soon as cards come up, they look out for you. And so I owe it to the community that I have both of those cards in my collection. I have not seen one of those for sale before or after I bought those. So
you got to take advantage when they pop.
Dude, I know. I mean, some of these cards, when they pop up, you don't wait around. You just snag them up because you might not see another one for a while, and by then it's going to be more expensive.
Yeah, it's on eBay marked up 500%. Man.
On sale for $500. Unbelievable. All right, let's go here, Greg. You're up. What you got for us?
So this one is not necessarily from the group, but it is from the baseball card community. It is by far the biggest community purchase I've had. Greatest story, I think, just because it was my number one want.
This is going to be a base card, right?
No, yeah.
Oh, look at that thing. Woo.
Yeah. So on Freedom Cardboard, I posted that I'm looking for this card, and I offered a bounty, a nice sized bounty. And the guy said, oh, I think I have this card. Let me check. I don't want your bounty. Just let's talk about a price. And I offered him a price, and he said, no, that's too much money. Give me a little less and we'll be good. And that was it. And I now have the card, which I've talked about. This one card has cycled its way through most of the United States, and nobody seems to want to hang on to it. Every time I looked for auction, it was this one card, the number 20 out of 24, that would be sold. So every 2 years, it gets sold and goes somewhere else. And finally, I was like, if I'm going to get a card, it's going to be the 20 out of 24.
That's pretty cool.
It keeps running around the United States, and I was right. I was the one to get it.
Right, because that was the one that sold on COMC most recently, right? Yeah, crazy that card ended up in your collection. It was cool, too.
Yeah, eBay and COMC. So I was like, if I'm going to get one, it's going to be this one because people just can't hang on to it. So I was right.
I'm glad it didn't go to auction because it could have been a little more, higher.
Yeah, crazy. Just depends on who's bidding on it, but thankfully the guy wanted to help me out, and he knew I was a hardcore Tim Salmon guy, so he did me a favor, and that was a big one. That was a big community, baseball card community purchase for me. It wasn't the Facebook group, but it was the card community, so I appreciate that a lot.
Ben, you should have been. It would have been fun if you'd have done it in an episode like this, though. But he had called me up on video chat, and we were just sitting there, BSing about cards, and he goes, "Hold on, I got a kind of a lame mail day." So he leans over and he pulls that card out, and he recorded my reaction. I about lost it, man. I couldn't believe it because I know that was his number one want, and I still hadn't grabbed mine yet. So I kind of was living vicariously through him, and it was pretty exciting to see him get that.
Yeah, that's a Mount Rushmore card for 90s collectors. Yeah, no doubt.
Oh, yeah. Definitely. All right, what about you, Ben? I think we're good here. We still got about 25 minutes or so, so we'll try to show a few more off and then get to our finale, which will be a fun one. Action.
Yeah, I got an 01 Donruss Elite Aspirations here.
Those pop, dude.
This is the serial number. It's numbered to 75. So seems like it's not super rare, there's 75 copies, but I could never find one. I've never actually seen the gold, the status available for sale, let alone the aspirations. So another Bonds collector was selling out his collection. Posted a lot of groups to our Bonds collectors group on Facebook, and this is one of the cards I picked up from him. I really love the photo of him in the backswing, and it was a card on my want list for a long time, and even 75 copies, just never saw one pop up. So when he put one up for sale and he had a really good price, I snagged it up. So that was one of my big pickups for the year.
Let me ask real quick: if the gold popped up, would you pursue it pretty heavily?
Yeah, I would. Yeah, I saw Griffey listed a couple months ago, and I was almost, that's the thing. If I see another player up, and there's other 90s players I like, and Matt's shaking his head. I just got to get a copy of it because it's such a good looking insert, and so I've done that with other players. I saw the Griffey, and I was like, well, maybe we should just get the Griffey for right now, and tide me over. But yeah, there's great foil on those cards, whether it's red or gold. Yeah. So, but yeah, I'd definitely go heavy after a gold. Hopefully, it'll be one sooner than later.
Who collects another player just to hold on to it and tide them over? I mean, wouldn't you want the player collector to have it? I mean, come on.
Yeah. The problem is when you've been collecting that player for 20 years, you start running out of stuff to pick up. Yeah.
Yeah, that has been recommended by Jason and by Greg you got to branch out a little bit, Matt, and of course, I've started to do that a little bit.
Yeah, it's true.
Ichiro, and then Rick Ankiel a little bit, just trying to pick up this and that, some Dwayne Wade cards, just give me other things to chase. But since Greg brought up like a whole community, I feel like this card represents all that. It represents a community member letting me know from the group, Joe LaGreca, that this card was available, and then having my buddies in on helping me figure out a price, and then being able to celebrate probably my most expensive card in my collection together. I think all those things. And Ben, you were there, you got to see it. And of course it's, I think everybody knows what card it's going to be. You do a thrill out of 10. I think that this card is going to have a lot of great memories for me. eBay 101, 10 out of 10. But I think just the fact that I'd been there for an entire 2 days or whatever, or a day, and not seen that card for sale, and then have Joe post that, hey, this card's available somewhere, and then go track it down, and then celebrate it with your buddies after picking it up. I think that was one of the coolest experiences. And even though this isn't like my favorite card in my collection, I can't imagine ever letting it go because of the memory that comes with it.
Yeah, hey, I found this one. Do you need this card?
Yeah, right. Yeah, anyways, so I'm glad that it was still available, and it ended up being really cool because the guy I bought it from, they had just kind of a small table, and the son was running his booth, and his dad was a teacher like me. And so once the deal got done, we sat and talked for a while. So it was a really neat experience. And at that point I was like, well, I guess I'm done at the National for the most part. So
I was glad that wasn't like a big time collector or a seller, because that would have went a lot differently.
Yeah.
It was that like little mom and pop guy over in the corner, or I guess he was in the middle, but little tiny table, maybe 3 or 4 tables.
It was the right situation for sure. It ended up being super nice guys too, man. It was really cool.
Yeah, because they just, it was dad and son combo just selling at the National. I was in a similar situation with the Frank Thomas Rubies, and I was like, all right, I'll see if he can work with me. And I offered like 3 awesome cards. Easy sell. And he was like, no, I'm looking for like Jordan autographs.
Yeah.
I was like, no. So I'm glad that it worked out for you, and it was the dad and son combo.
Right. Really cool story.
Seems like a lot of teachers are into collecting. I don't know if that's just so you talk about Reese. He's a Bonds collector. I know at my local show, there's another guy he's a high school teacher. He's helping me cleat my 71 set. I know there's some couple other teachers too in our group too. I don't know.
I think we got to think of something like we're around kids all day, and my students are like Pokemon cards, and maybe it's subconsciously it just happened, but I think it's a nice escape. You know, your brain is very for all 3 of us. All our jobs require a lot of mental capacity. You know, we're constantly having to manage and think about what's going on, and so cards are a nice escape. You know, they can turn our brain to a completely opposite thought. And so I think that's been really, really nice. Yeah. That's funny. You mentioned that. Reese, he is a teacher too. I know that guy's always so busy. Nuts. All right, Greg. So keeping with our theme of community cards, you got another one there. I have one in my mind that I'm hoping gets showed. So let's hope that you're on the same page as me. There's a couple in there.
Like I said, I got a bad memory.
Subconsciously, come on, man. I'm sending it to you.
I don't know. Maybe, I don't know.
It's in there. I have a feeling it's in there.
So this, I feel like I look at my eBay so often that I think I would have seen it. I'm sure I would have. But Joe sent me the link while I was taking a nap. And so I looked at it and I was like, oh, wow, I got to wake up from my nap for this.
I know what it is now. Good. I'm glad you didn't forget it.
And so they had like an offer price, or they had like you could make an offer or you could bid on it. And I made an offer and he didn't respond in 5 seconds. So I started to freak out. And I was like, you know what? Let's just put it to auction and may the best man win. It's going to be me, but may the best man win.
Yep.
So Joe sent me the link, but I know I would have seen it at some point. He just beat me to it. But regardless, I'm glad he did, because maybe that somebody would have made an offer and he would have accepted the offer and I would have missed out totally, because I was the one who put it to auction, and I had plans to win it. And I did. So here it is.
Oh, yeah, baby.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's the big one, number to 25.
Another one on Mount Rushmore. Yeah.
Yeah.
For any of the viewers out there that are listening, go check out our Crusade episode with Rodney. If you want to know why that Crusade red is so rare, it may be out of 25, but they do not ever pop up.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's a big card. I got 2 big cards this year, at the very least. So
within like a month of each other, dude.
Yeah, it was crazy. Crazy on my wallet.
I think my favorite part of that whole story for me personally is the ending of the auction, because I'm sitting there. I was following the auction. Like, I'm nervous, Ben. Like, I'm getting nervous that this card like, Greg has to win this card. And so the auction's going down, and I know what his username or his little fake secret name is and his feedback. And I'm watching and it ends and he goes, well, I saved blank amount of dollars, because he put like an astronomical bid in. And I was like, thank God somebody didn't bid that thing up, because, man.
Oh, yeah. That goes back to snipe, man.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, for sure. So, yeah, we're really glad that you showed that off, dude. That was a fun moment for me, too, watching you win that. So,
yeah, that was a big one.
All right. So, Ben, are you about to show off the 101 Bonds $5,000 card here? No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, not quite. I'll branch out. Here's one of the other players I more casually collect. Nothing too huge, but this is the 99 UD Retro Gold. This is one I just picked up last week. These are serial numbered to 250. So serial numbered on the back.
Mm-hmm.
And I really like this product because it's just, it's got kind of a matte finish, and it's just a clean looking design.
Yeah.
And I like the gold border. Like I said, I've kind of branched out to Jeter and Griffey. Nothing too high end because obviously it's astronomical. But I do like to pick up some Jeters here and there, especially with him going in the Hall of Fame next year. Yeah. And that's an insert set I just like because it's just a clean, good-looking product.
I like the retro stuff quite a bit. I've got the Kirby Puckett autograph, and the retro cards are just cool. They just are like old-fashioned. They were in the lunch box. It was just a cool setup. All the vintage stuff or the retro stuff, I'm a big fan of. I thought about putting a set together just because I like it. It's just nothing fancy, but it's just cool. I like it.
They did a good job of that product too, releasing it in a very unique way with the lunch boxes. I thought that was cool to go into a shop this summer and see one for sale still. Like, oh wow! I remember I bought a Griffey. I found a Griffey lunchbox and I bought it from Baseball Card Exchange or whatever. And I was like, I got to get this just because I'll have a cool lunchbox. I didn't pull anything cool out of it, but it was the cards themselves, to see them in person for the first time. I thought, man, this is a really neat idea. It's too bad it only went for 2 years, but
there's that one cool insert from '98 in there.
I feel like there's something in '98 that looks really nice. Which part of our community again is celebrating people getting their number one cards. Like when Greg got his 24 karat and the Crusade Red. I mean, we were all pumped, and all of our friends when they've picked up their big cards, unless you're Thomas Tucker and he picks up like everybody's top 10 want every single day. From his chipper collection. And the guy's like, oh, I got this one too. I'm like, geez, man, this is like a mountaintop card. Oh, let me show another one.
He's giving Bruce Toney a run for his money, huh?
I think that's because Bruce is nice enough to help him out. I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But that's awesome though, because now he has somebody else that appreciates it, which is again part of our group. If we're going to sell our cars to somebody, if I ever, God forbid, sold some of these, but I'd want it to go to the one guy that I knew would appreciate them as much or more than me. I wouldn't sell them to anybody else because I don't want my cards just going off into some guys like, oh yeah, I kind of like 90s, so we'll throw it in there. No. But again, when we talk about celebrating everybody's collections, I think everybody knew how bad I wanted this card, and when I finally got it, I mean, from '98 retro, the Quantum Leap,
Amazing.
I was so pumped. And Greg messaged me in the morning. He's like, dude, just make an offer, go pick it up and whatnot. And it was great. Long story short, I got a hold of the seller. She had no feedback. So, of course, now I'm like uber nervous. I'm like, what is going on? This is not a legit card. And got down to the nitty gritty and got a hold of her. And within 10 minutes, I was sitting there laying in bed like 6 a.m., like so nervous. I couldn't get any sleep. And I was messaging her and I made a deal. I basically said, will you take this much? And she said, my husband said, if I got this offer, I would take it. And she did. And within like 10 minutes, she had a picture of the card sitting on a piece of paper, which was the tracking slip, and had it in the mail that day. And I got it like 4 days later. It's pretty cool. And so her husband had pulled it from a pack, and he had it in his collection ever since '98. So I was only the second owner. So pretty cool.
Matt, did you say her husband, he passed or?
No. He was selling his collection.
Oh,
yeah. He was selling his collection.
It just goes to show these cards, like you said, the guy pulled it originally from the box in '98, and he had it for 20 years and never hit eBay. Just goes to show how tough these cards are.
And the case that it came in was like those snap cases Tanner Jones likes to use, and it's all scratched up, it's all foggy, like it's like, and I still have it. I kept the case. It's sitting behind up there. It's sitting behind that, so I can it's kind of a cool memento, But
luckily, she didn't send it in a PWE.
Oh, dude, it was loose. It was in a bubble mailer, like a big one, and it was flopping around in there. Like as soon as I pulled it out of the mailbox, I started shaking. I'm like, oh god, it's gonna be messed up. Card's gonna be out of the snap case. It's gonna be like, oh god, I would have started shedding tears. I've never been more nervous putting a card in a magnetic before in my life. Let me just tell you, oof, man. Anyways, so I had to show that off because how much everybody was super stoked. I always appreciate when people are stoked for your pickups. But what about you, Greg? You got anything else there? Come on, man, come through for me. I'm waiting. I'm just kidding. I think you showed it. You're good.
Yeah, I got everything for now.
Oh, is that it? Okay. Ben, did you have one more? Maybe I know you got to go in 15 minutes, so I wanted to have a little bit of fun at the end of this episode with our community. But
yeah, sure, I could go. I go in 2002 with Bowman Chrome Gold.
Ooh,
this is one again. Bonds collector was selling his collection. He focused on refractors mostly. I just love that gold background, and it's serial number 250. So he had this one available, and I have quite a few of the Bowman Chrome gold refractors from other years, but that's one that I kind of eluded me, and he had one for sale. I just had to pick it up from him. So again, that's one that was in a collection for quite a while, and he decided to part with it. So I was happy to take it off his hands.
That Bonds group you have too has been really helpful, because I feel like that group has definitely had some cards posted just within it for sale. I didn't grab it, but the Shadow series, it's right there from 99 Revolution. I got that out of our A-Rod group from a guy who's an A-Rod collector, and he's not even in the 90s group still. So Ken Karpenko, he hooked me up with that. But your Bonds group is especially good about having Bonds cards for sale every now and then in there, which is pretty cool, because I don't think you find that in a lot of player Facebook pages, you know?
Right. Yeah. We have 3 or 4 pretty serious guys. And so it makes it fun, because everyone, you know, we always talk about this too. We say, what if we combined all 3 of our collections, put them together? What would be our percentages, and how complete would that collection be? It's kind of fun to talk about that too, because I know Nate and Reese have quite a few cards that I don't have. So it's interesting to think about who's picked up what. I know you have that Revolution. Is it 99? The red that's a 63. I'm still looking for that card. I know Nate has it, and it's another one of those Pacific cards that there's 63 of them, and I can't find it for the life of me. So
yeah, the 2000 Revolution. 2000. Yeah, those were only retail, so I think that's why they're so tough to track down. I couldn't believe when I got it. I'm definitely stoked.
Great looking card, red and gold. Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna combine these all into one real quick show off, because I feel like these community members need a shout out. So I hope they don't mind that I'm doing it all at once. But again, same person. Did you say his name who sent you the Nomar, Greg?
I did not.
Okay. All right. Are we trying to keep him anonymous, or?
No, I don't think so.
But no, the same guy who sent you the Nomar, you know who you are. But yeah, he's a fellow A-Rod collector, and he sent this to me out of the kindness of his heart. I still couldn't believe it when I opened up the package, man. I'd bought a Pacific card from him, and he put this in there with it. And he said, I know you'd appreciate it more. So this card, Date with Destiny from whoa. No, it's good. But I mean, these are super, super tough to find, man. And I've never seen one. I've never seen one for auction. I really haven't. And so it's awesome that they actually popped up.
The Frank just popped up for $250.
That's it, huh? That's amazing. No, I'm amazed at how expensive those cards are, how shiny they are. And then I got to give a shout out to Tyler Michael Mild. He's a big collector in our 90s group. He's been posting some McGuire stuff. He had this blue from Invincible 99 and out of 67. Hopefully my camera will grab it. Here we go. Down there out of 67. I haven't been able to find one. It's one of the last ones from this set I'm missing from this rainbow. So I was able to pick that up from him for a really good price. So I wanted to make sure he gets a shout out on video for that one. And the last 2, I'm going to show off a couple of Ichiros. I love these cards. This is the SP Game Bat rookie card with a piece of used bat. And Joshua Tulia sent this to me. Just send it to me, which was just super, super nice. So he said, I know you'll love it more than me, Matt. Here you go. And so thanks again, man. Love it. And then Ray got me into collecting Ichiro by posting this card. I thought it was one of the coolest looking cards I've ever seen. And so I went and grabbed this card. And then from there, it's been history. So
yeah, I can't go wrong with hot gloves. That's for sure.
No, for sure not. So I wanted to definitely give those people a shout out. So Ben, are you good for a few more minutes here?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. We thought we'd have a little bit of fun and end the show. Instead of showing off recent pickups or anything, we thought Greg came up with the idea of doing a Superlatives style episode where at the end where we kind of, give some shout outs to some community members, but also kind of roast each other a little bit in a fun, loving way. So yeah, we came up with a few. Our group is just amazing though, man, because there's so many passionate collectors in there. I mean, if you were to take everybody in our group and put like a national style just show off where people can come in and see cards from the 90s, oh my gosh, I mean, it would be unbelievable. The amount of cards and stories.
We have a large chunk of the collections.
We do. I mean, there's some people who deserve to have their own museums with the type of collections they have. I mean, it blows my mind. It really does. It puts a lot of us to shame, and we've been collecting for a while, and you're like, holy moly, you've got that and that and that, and you've got everything.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no, it's definitely big time. We came up with a few lists. I mean, this is all Greg's idea. So if anybody wants to get angry, you can get angry at Greg. Hit him up on Facebook.
Give me a message.
Yeah, that's right. I'll definitely go with myself first. I spend way too much time doing this. I said most likely to spend way too much time editing a photo before posting it. That would definitely be me. I spend so much time messing with the sliders and getting that shine just right before posting a card. I'm kind of overly obsessive about it. So that would definitely be me for sure.
Sometimes I just put like mayonnaise next to my cards.
Oh, you like a bike, maybe a bike tire or something?
Yeah. Those posts had me cracking up.
That's right. All right, somebody else say one. Just throw one out.
What was it? Most likely to correct your inaccuracies goes to Rodney Vallejo.
Oh man, yeah. Most likely to correct anything inaccurate on Facebook. That's a good one. What about you, Ben? You got a bonds collector that most likely to blank?
All right, yeah, I gotta give Nate a shout out because I rib him pretty regularly about that, and that's that he has this massive bonds collection, over 5,000 cards, and he doesn't have a checklist yet. So, Reese and I and some other bonds collectors, we always give him a hard time about, man, you got this huge collection, and then every once in a while you make a YouTube video. Oh, I picked this card up, check all my cards, and I realized I had it already. I said, Nate, you got to get a checklist.
Yeah.
So he actually printed one out, and he still hasn't put it together. Me, I'm kind of OCD. I love when I get a card, and then I go with my highlighter, and I go, yep, got that one off the list. But he's not a big fan of checking them off, so.
Yeah, I don't know how he keeps track. When we were interviewing him and he said he had 5, like he was crossing the 5,000 threshold. I'm like, so how do you keep an idea of a track? He's like, I don't know, I just remember them all.
Yeah,
unbelievable. We gotta give a shout out to our friend Alan. We had an awesome time at the National with him. I don't think he had the best time at the National, unfortunately, but I know he had a great time overall. I mean, we opened that box of the 96 Ultra. We did those daily wrap up videos, which were a lot of fun. But we all came up with this one together. Most likely to piss off a big time dealer at the National before anybody else. Alan, yeah, that would definitely be him. Yeah. I mean, it got to the point where the guy wouldn't even talk to him, and I'm like, Alan's not a overly aggressive guy. Mm-hmm. Alan is as calm as it gets, but he sure rubbed that guy the wrong way, didn't he?
Yeah, I was in person for that one. Yeah.
Oh man, and I remember Reese was standing there like, gosh, this guy's a jerk. Reese wanted to stand up and say something too. It's a good thing Jason wasn't there, because most likely to pick a fight with somebody at the National would probably be Jason Wildman, right?
Yeah.
Holy moly, he would have backed us up for sure. We had to give him a shout out. Poor Alan. Still feel bad about that.
He'll be back, maybe.
Greg, you thought of a really good one for an infrequent visitor to our group. For sure.
Nick Uliano, he gets the most insane dollar amount of cards in under 24 hours, only to disappear for a year.
That's right.
Is that the Jeter guy?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah.
He's got like all the masterpieces and the refract. Like he did like a 24-hour post of like all the one-of-ones.
I remember. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he was at the National too, and we went over and I said, "Hey, what's up, Nick? Nice to see you. Now I can actually talk to you for a change instead of you like showing up and disappearing into thin air." But his his Jeters were just. Didn't he have a Fleer starting 9 or whatever in there too? I mean, it was just like,
insane Jeters.
Yeah, he did. Yep. And when he hits the Hall of Fame, that guy is, if he decides to cash out on any of those, he can go on a vacation with those cards for sure. But any other Bonds collectors or stand out to you, Ben? I mean, hey, you got to roast your good buddy, right? Like, how does Dan not get roasted here right now?
Oh, right. I guess I'd roast Dan, big Frank Thomas collector. I always roast him because he's such a big collector. He has his own Frank Thomas pillow. So, and it's actually framed. It's in a frame on his wall. And I guess it was a Blue Jays giveaway. So I always, whenever I see him and we kind of make fun of what baseball card dorks we are with our friends, nice. I say, this guy's such a big Frank Thomas collector. He's got the Frank Thomas pillow. So
in his frame.
Yeah, that is most likely to have a pillow of his favorite player that he collects. Dan, right. Nice one. I hope he watches this. That's a good one, dude. That's great. Well, I've thought of how many different ways I could bring up this collector. You know, he's actually got an amazing Will Clark collection. I'll say that, just despite the bike spoke picture, which we won't even mention. But this I thought of a perfect one for Ryan. Most likely to not comment on anything unless it's a controversial topic. That's definitely Ryan. If there's some kind of pot to stir, he'll hop in there and be like, "Ooh, let me stir it up a little bit," and then disappear and come back. That's Ryan for sure. Now he's got a great collection, but he won't post forever. And then all of a sudden it's like, "Are you guys sure?" Blankety blank, and then there's an argument happening, and there's Ryan. He shows up. I love it, man. He would be a fun guy to have a debate with for sure too, because I feel like he's really passionate. So
that bike spokes post cracked me up. And then someone put an A-Rod card. Didn't they put an A-Rod card in the trash or something?
It's in my collection. It's right back there. It was a flare. It was like a no foil variation, a super rare card. Dude posted it in the trash, and at first I was like, "What's the problem, man?" Like, geez. He's like, "Nah, I'm just screwing." But that was. I mean, you have to have a little bit of thick skin among the collectors. You know, they like to give each other a hard time, and we're all guilty of different things, except Greg. He's non-controversial, so I don't think he's ever been involved. Greg just hangs out in the background, most likely to hang out in the background and not be involved in anything controversial. And so I think that it's all in good fun for sure. We got an amazing community of guys, and one thing that I think is awesome is if somebody posts a card like, "Hey, what's up with this card? It's got a hand number 4 out of 20 in the bottom. I've never seen it. What's going on?" You'll have about 5 or 6 people, boom, right in on there. They'll tell you about going to Baseball Cardpedia. They'll tell you where it came from. They'll tell you how rare it is. They'll give you all the information. We're really lucky that we're part of a community that honestly will give you the background on any rare card that you're looking for, just to help you figure out how much is it worth, how rare is it, what should I buy it, all those things. I think we're pretty lucky when it comes to that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
For sure. Well, I know, Ben, that you got to take off. I really enjoyed doing a community shout out episode with you guys because, again, without the community, our collections are not half of what they are now. I really don't think so.
Yeah. It was a great time. It's always nice to share opinions with like-minded people because, like you said, there's not a lot of people around your area that want to talk baseball cards, even more specifically 90s inserts. Right. So that was a good time.
Right. Well, and, definitely got to give a shout out to both of you guys. First of all, Greg, you coming up with that list of collectors. I think you're pretty active in the group, and you started posting a little bit more. And I think that's allowed me to kind of do the same and kind of motivate people to post more and more of their cards that are coming in and, just interact with people on the group. That's what it's all about, and for me, I like video chatting with people and just talking cards. I've had the chance to do it with a lot of different collectors, Reese, Greg, Ben, Nate, Tanner, all these guys. That's been really cool. So, and then Ben, obviously, thanks for collecting other players. I definitely have got motivated to do the same. And maybe one day I'll have a card that somebody really wants. But thanks again for joining us and being a big time contributor to the community. I think that's been awesome to have you in the group.
Not a problem. Can't wait to be back. Always good to have a chat.
Yeah, definitely. Well, have a great weekend, guys. For all the listeners out there, I know it's been 3 weeks since we did an episode. Coordinating schedules is tough, but we might have a special out of the blue episode next week if we can get schedules coordinated with Mr. Vallejo himself. So we'll see if we get that going, but everybody have a great weekend. Thanks, guys.
Take care.